If you remember, we're in a pandemic. Because honestly, it seems like lots of people forgot that we're in a pandemic, but we really still are. Lots of people are turning to other things, other outlets to kind of spend their time. They can't go outside and be as rambunctious, cause as much trouble as they used to, because they can spread a disease that can kill grandma. And we love grandma, isn't that right? So one of those vices that people are turning to, like drugs, okay? And it is a drug. It harms you just as much, is anime. Lots of people are getting into anime. And honestly, as much as we cringe about anime fans, it brings a lot of people together. There is one, here's a cute little story about a young girl who put together a, during the pandemic, there was a school in her school in Detroit, right? In a place that doesn't have too many property taxes. The schools aren't that big. They're doing a big drive to help get kids into extracurricular activities. And this girl put together an anime club, a cute little anime club. And you know what? It became one of the biggest things that helped form a massive community in her area, and a place where 90% of the kids 90% of the kids are eligible for free lunches because they're just that poor. It's really an amazing thing. And she also got a medal as well for her work for community building. A beautiful thing. That being said, it's not all hunky-dory on the anime side. It really, really isn't. And you would think, really? That's crazy, Shark. That's mind-blowing to me, Shark, because I would imagine during the pandemic, anime would be one of those industries that is absolutely booming, all right? Metro booming. Want some more? Take some more. Have some more anime, okay? Just have some more. You can just drink anime right now. You can have it injected straight into your veins. You're sitting at home. You're doing fuck all. Look at you. Life is great here, isn't it? Well, not if you're an anime animator. You know, the people who make the drawings, those people, they're not having that too good of a time. And because there was an article released recently that said anime is booming. Why are animators living in poverty? Now, let me tell you, okay? This is massive doomer pill, all right? We love workers here. We love workers here to death. In Japan, they just work workers to death. Because in lots of these animation studios, the people on the ground actually doing the work, crafting the frames that actually put together an anime, these people are living at as little as $200 a month. There's an animator, a freelance animator. His name is, let me not butcher it, Tetsuya Akutsu, something along those lines. I'm trying my best here, okay? Trying my best here. He's been a freelance animator for 8 years and worked on TV shows, worked in anime, worked in merchandise, worked on movies. And here's his everything that he's done, everything that he's worked on. He's worked on everything from the Yu-Gi-Oh TV series to Digimon and everything in between. He also worked on Fate Grand Order, Absolute Demonic Front. He's worked on a whole bunch of stuff. This guy is pretty prolific inside of the community. But here's the thing. He's one of the lucky ones. Thousands of lower range illustrators are do grueling piecework for as little as $200 a month. He takes home $1,400 to $3,800 a month, right? And for me, still, that seems low. $1,400 a month for like an animating job seems incredibly low, but some people work for even worse than that, $200 a month. I want to work in the anime industry for the rest of my life, he said at 29 during the telephone interview. But as he appears to start a family, he feels an intense financial pressure to leave. I know it's impossible to get married and raise a child. This is how he works, okay? This is his fucking home, all right? He doesn't actually have a closet because he's just so poor. He was able to afford a studio apartment on the outskirts of Tokyo with the job that he's doing. His racer chair is fucking destroyed. He sat in it for so long. He spent so much time editing. He can't even get up. He has a freaking bottle of piss on his desk. That may not be piss, but you listen, okay? Which stick with the story. This guy, he's called a Ganga Man. All right. Gangaman. Sounds sick. But he's the person who writes, who illustrates the main pieces, the sticking pieces of anime, and there are other people inside Dolgaman. All right, the entry level animators who do the frame by frame work that actually put together like the movement in the anime. Their works average $12,000 a year. This is the type of money that you get working just above minimum wage at like a fast food restaurant when you're 16. Okay, these people are putting in 50 hours a week. Okay, making $12,000. There are people sleeping at their desks, grueling, taking physical damage to their bodies. And actually in Japan's culture, it's seen as a mark of pride. Oh, you were hospitalized because you got like a viral infection because you were just busy shitting in your seat for days on end, drawing out anime frame by frame by frame on a massive crunch schedule that your boss put on you, making $38 a day. Man, you're really making something good there. Wow, you're really, that's sick. It's not sick at all. It's violating labor laws. And it's interesting because, like I said, anime is booming right now, especially with people staying home more. The consumption of anime has gone up. It's actually over doubled since 2015. The amount of people who are actually looking to take anime seriously. And it's estimated to be at a $24 billion industry right now. Something as small as anime was like 10 years ago has ballooned into something massive, a really big industry that the people who are actually doing the work don't get a piece in at all. And now Japan, let me take a little turn here. Japan made an initiative, okay? It's called Cool Japan. Unironically, it's called Cool Japan. They want to make Japan cool. They do. They want to make it sound sick all over the world, international. They want to take Japan all over, all right? They want weebs abound. This is Japan's plot to turn people into weebs, okay? If your friend has fallen to the weeb bug, just know that it was Japan's government's plot to make them a weeb. It's happened, okay? If your friend is thinking about taking a trip to Shibuya, just let you know, they've been indoctrinated by Japanese propaganda to make them think like they're cool, because they've started a campaign called Cool Japan, where they just want to proliferate Japanese culture. And so one of the big things that they did is initiatives at home, right, is they're giving massive subsidies to things like cultural influences, like anime studios, music studios, cultural influence as well, to try and push those things overseas. So massive amounts of corruption has started to fill the coffers of anime industries. And once again, none of that money is seeing any of the animators who are doing the actual work. Here's a guy who can explain a little bit about Cool Japan.
Times have changed. When the Hallyu Wave started getting serious,
Ooh. Let me turn this down a little bit.
Traction in the late 2000s by its neighbor to the west, Korea, Japan had to do something. And while yes, Japan still has a lot of pop culture appeal, many people think of Korea as the pop culture powerhouse of Asia today. So the Japanese government is like, we gotta come up with a way to get the spotlight back to us. We got to become the cool guys of pop culture again. And thus, the Cool Japan program was started in 2013. And Japanese government is like, you know what? We're going to put $500 million into promoting Japanese pop culture, and we're going to actually go overseas this time. And this program was supposed to mirror like Cool Britannia of the 90s, where you had a lot of people loving British pop culture, as well as being reminiscent of Japan's earlier rise in the 90s. And with the upcoming Tokyo Olympics in 2020, Japan definitely wants to up their pop culture game. And what better way to do that than with Cool Japan? But as I mentioned earlier, and as you're looking at the title, Cool Japan hasn't actually made the country more cool or hip. So let's get into the issues why Cool Japan isn't working. So the first reason is corruption. And yeah, you might be going, well, every country and every organization has corruption to a certain extent. And that's true. But some are small and some are quite large. And Cool Japan's corruption is quite large. So when the government pushed $500 million to Cool Japan, basically what this does is it gives it to the biggest companies. The Japanese companies are supposed to do is, improve worker conditions and pay, salary, and to push that money to promoting pop culture overseas. But as you guys can predict, it hasn't been that way. What many of these Japanese companies do actually is they actually pocket the millions from the government and keep it like hush hush and just fill out some fake paperwork and say, yeah, we're promoting Japanese pop culture, but they're really not. They're just getting extra millions from the Japanese government. And there hasn't been any serious whistleblowers or anyone in the government that's been calling them out on this. But the artists and creators of Japanese pop culture definitely noticed this trend and pretty much knew that corruption was in the Cool Japan program.
Okay. In 4 months, I've watched 27 entire anime shows. See, people love anime. It's great. Well, I mean, they think they think that it's great. If there's subsidies starting for studios and marketing anime, doesn't that make fund socialist studio? Why not make a worker co-op studio? Well, two things, right? Lots of these subsidies are only going to really big established anime studios. One, two, you need a lot of capital to start an anime studio and actually be able to make work because they get a lot of their money from actually selling the anime, and you need a lot of capital up front. It's not just like a really easy thing to do, just start making shows, right? You either have to acquire IP or make your own shows, and they have to not flop for you to get off the ground if you don't have money behind you. Lots of these money is already going to big established media organizations already in Japan, so they wouldn't get that money. And also the work environment in Japan precludes you, well, it de-incentivizes you from leaving your workplace, saying bad things about your workplace, and not giving your all to your job. So leaving and trying to do something different than that would be highly socially frowned upon. So there's lots of barriers to doing something like that. Would it be cool? Sure. But there's lots of barriers to doing something like that. One big thing is that lots of money that the anime studios get now comes through things like merchandise that lots of people hold the keys to. So to get now that streaming has become way bigger, the ability for anime studios to make a lot of money back on their returns have kind of shrunk to lots of merchandise that they can sell, and so they have to be able to work with lots of these companies that own massive merchandise chains to actually get their characters into the hands of the fans that want to buy them to make money back on those returns. Since making anime is extremely costly, you need a lot of capital to do it, a lot of people, time, and resources. So what happens? Those companies that hold the keys to lots of how these anime studios even make any money back on their returns, what they're doing is they're giving these people raw deals, right? So what fuck are you gonna do about it, right? You made this sick anime, you want to be able to pay any of your workers literally anything? Well, hey, how about this? We keep all of the royalties, we keep most of the money, and then we give you some of it, and then you can give back to your people. Doesn't that sound fun? No? Well, who cares? Because we're going to do it anyways. So now they have to make cuts, right? They have to start making cuts. And who gets cut at the end of the day? Think about it. Who gets cut, right? Is it going to be the studio who feels a lot of the brunt of this? Is it going to be the executives that feel the brunt of this? Obviously not. It's the people at the very bottom, of the totem pole who get shafted. And surprisingly enough, those people are all the people who make the anime possible to begin with. And one of the most damning things that I saw out of this entire article in particular is one of the last parts of it, honestly. For those in the case of
Hiraki
Moto, who decided to quit the industry after his first child was born. Working in anime has been his lifelong dream, he said. But after years in the business, he never made more than $38 a day. I started to wonder if this lifestyle was enough, he said during the video call. A lot of people just felt like there was value in being able to work on anime that they loved. Hirakamoto said, no matter how little they got paid, they got to work. They were willing to do the work. I don't regret the decision at all to leave. $38 a day after years of working in anime, years of being an animator, no more than $38 a day. That was his max. Okay. That wasn't like he got there. That was like the maximum he got was $38 a day for the amount of time that he's put in. It's honestly sickening how much these companies take advantage of the work culture that they have in Japan. Like basically work until you drop, and when you drop, you pick yourself back up and keep working with no recompense, with no payment or anything. Like it's completely frowned upon to be even go against your employer. So lots of the things that would be working here, like OSHA, right, that lots of people would be fine going to, you're disincentivized for doing that because you may not even get another job back in the industry as well. Another problem in this as well is that many studios don't make that much money. 1 in 6 anime studios are in the red, 25% as of 2015, and that number has only been going up. The failures of lots of studios is starting to really pile on, and it's taking a massive toll on the workers. According to the report, the average wage for an animator that is in between companies is only 60,000 yen a month, $540 a month. An animator named Tetsuya Akushu, for example, was only paid 200 yen, $2 for 5 hours of work on a single frame of animation. $2. You could have, imagine, all right? You're sitting at home, you're vibing, you're doing your thing, okay? And a single frame of animation passes by, all right? 1/24th of a second that passed by. Someone spent 5 hours of work on it and got paid $2. That is sickening, all right? At the end of the day, what this comes down to is the lack of bargaining power, the lack of worker appreciation, and worker determination in lots of these companies. They don't get any say about what goes on. Most animators leave the industry after 3 years because they just cannot afford being an animator anymore, and it's starting to cause a lot of problems downstream because lots of these anime studios now what they're working on is quantity over quantity, just hammering out workers as hard as possible, forcing them to work as hard as possible on several different projects at a time to just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. And if it doesn't, well, they could, for one, they could be out of business, and two, it incentivizes them to not actually hire real employees. So now a massive plurality of the workers who are actually doing anime are freelance now, just bouncing from job to job to job, doing frame here, frame there to make any sort of money that they can while not getting any it's basically, so the anime industry at this point is basically turned into freaking Uber, like Uber Eats. It turned into like DoorDash. You know, where you just have animators just run through the door where they get paid pennies at a time for hours and hours and hours of work, days, weeks, months of like grueling work under massive time crunches to be paid $200 a month. The abuse in the system is disgusting, and it only makes it worse that you know that the anime industry has more than doubled, and none of that money has seen the actual people at the end of the line who are making these frames possible, who are making these communities possible, who are making the fans, who are making the industry something to begin with. It's all because they're not being there. They are losing their labor. Their surplus labor is being taken from them. They're being abused and thrown out. And this is the need. This, for one, at the very minimum, the need for unions. At the very minimum, the needs for a massive animator union to try and keep their people safe and stop them from getting horrible deals like this. $38 a day maximum after years in the industry is unforgivable. It's not only horrid, it's not disgusting, it's unforgivable is what it is. It's actual human. I think at this point it's become a human rights violation to be depriving people, to be working people near to death, right? And then depriving them of their wages this way. It's disgusting. They need to take more power in the places that they work. They need it, right? This is something that other people can experience, and other people have been experiencing without any collective bargaining. That is essential to make sure that you aren't exploited even harder for your labor, that you won't be treated like this. It's only getting worse for these animators, and I wish them the best. All right, but they need to start to understand that only together they can organize to ensure their survival.